Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome, everyone, to the festive opening of the 17th Herzliya Conference, the balance of resilience. And today the topic is Israel's strategic balance, opportunities and risks, the balance of Israel's national resilience conversation. And here with me is Professor Uriel Reichman, the president and founder of the IDC, and I myself am the Vice President for External Affairs and head of the Rafael Recanati International School. And
מי שרוצה לרשום את ילדיו לבינתחומי מוזמן לפגוש אותי ויקבל פרוטקציה. בבקשה.
I'm delighted to invite for the opening of this conference Professor Uriel Reichman, the president and founder of the IDC Herzliya, and without his determination, his perseverance, we would not be convening here today. Thank you very much. The Vice President for External Affairs, Major General in Reserves Amos Gilad, the Chairman of the Herzliya Conference, Major General Amos Gilad, Professor Boaz Ganor, the Dean of the Lauder School of Government, and the Director of the Institute for Counterterrorism, the ICT. Dear friends, faculty members, all of you, welcome. The Herzliya Conference is taking place under a somewhat poetic sort of title, A Strategic Balance and the Lights and the Shadows, although this poetry cannot cover this immense tension and those gaps that we find opening just underneath us. After all, there are very deep shadows, the tension between the Israelis who are here in Zion and those, our dear brothers abroad. And yes, the economy is resilient and strong, and yet there's a gap between the social struggle that the citizens of Israel face and the tension between us and the Palestinians, the internal struggles between the four tribes. That phrase that was coined by President Ruby Rivlin just a few years ago, and we continue talking about the tension between the fact that we're an open, enlightened society that believes in freedom of expression, of thought and creativity, and between those attempts to try and gag and stop and curb that freedom and that of the media and communication. So here we are as a light to the Gentiles, and we have spearheaded technology and medicine, and yet on the other hand we feel as if we are through fanatic religion perhaps taking steps back. We are now thinking back to the times of 120 years since the Zionist Congress, that embarking on a journey that was unprecedented, and what people believed at the time was an unavoidable struggle of the Jewish people, a voyage saturated with struggles, sacrifice and bloodshed. This year we're going to mark milestones that are also significant. 100 years since the Balfour Declaration, 70 years since the inception of the State of Israel. We've just now marked 50 years since the Six-Day War. 70 years are just a sort of, with a blink of an eye, they elapse. And yes, during that time, Israel can register so many achievements in security, in science, in medicine. And the sources, the roots of these achievements are in the actual decision to create a homeland for the Jewish people that would be shared by all, that would ensure freedom for the individual while safeguarding that national homeland, just as Theodor Herzl dreamed for us. It would be a paragon society. We have undergone wars and waves of immigration and so many crises. all that took from us and demanded of us as individuals and a society to harness all our energy towards them. What enabled us to overcome those struggles that seemed at some point against all odds was the fact that we were a collective together. It was, we knew, despite the sediment and all the problems, we knew how to join forces with determination and faith and march forward together. This was the infrastructure for this common path, was actually incepted by the Zionist movement because they knew that religion should be interpreted by individual, and they left it outside the issues of government. The Bible and the various philosophers were interpreted according to the Zionist concept as a kind of inspiration for the way they would have their own choices without any coercion by the government or law. And within all that, it was very clear Judaism is not one Jewish community. It will be something that could be interpreted because it is we do not belong to the past. We will march forward. And yes, the rabbis, they would not allow them to control us. They would be with us, but they would not control us. And the Zionist path would enable us to live together and mold our lives here. And any diversion from that actual path would be from our social charter that really committed all of us. In other words, the Declaration of Independence is our banner. Today we need an implementation of it unequivocally, but we need a new charter in faith, religion, and society that, for example, the movement for constitution in 67, it actually suggested that we would be able to live together, but we would not turn into a halachic state. Why did I choose now to go back to that battle and put it on your agendas? Why? Because your eyes can see, and I will explain it when I conclude the conference, very far distant from your eyes, quietly, stealthily, with parliamentary skills, which takes over any other kind of laws. There today stands to be approved a law, a judicial law, a religious and civil law. And you haven't seen it, it's behind the scenes covertly, but it's already gone through the legislation committee in the Knesset. They have decided that the rabbinical cause, that in the meantime, that they only are responsible for marriage and divorce, but there would also be, it would be applied for all other contractual and other issues. It seems a kind of very innocent camouflage, as if giving the public another way of choosing things. A kind of cunning effort is being made to make our state judicial system, and perhaps later on, instead of it, a new different kind of halachic law system. Do not just ignore that, because that is in the background. We have to remember that this reality, in the margins of our thoughts, this will blow up in front of us so easily, in front of our eyes. Therefore, I'm calling upon the religious Zionist movement, such a glorious movement that beforehand shared the Zionist path and our path, to really strive to unite the people, unify them, and object to that kind of proposed legislation. It is a role that is incumbent upon them to take a courageous decision and refuse to pass that bill. It's an anti-Zionistic one, because that transfers the authority of the law from the hands of the Knesset to the rabbinate, instead of the people being the sovereign. After all, the Knesset are the representatives of that sovereign. Now that is moving it to an external hands, that is a detrimental, that is harmful towards it, and that will turn us into a halachic state. These are really hard times, and we need to make hard decisions. We need a leadership that will be committed to solve and help dissipate all these tensions and bridge between all this abyss that we feel under our eyes. After all, we have to think outside the box creatively, and we must really mobilize in order to save our homes and save the Zionist state as we know it. The IDC we established as a Zionist institute, one for advanced learning, fostering excellence, academic excellence, that also said as one of its aim they want to train the new and modern leadership for the State of Israel for the future. Here there are opportunities for initiative, for innovative and creative thinking. The way we look at things that we are trying to imbue to our students is for the future. We are begging you to look towards the horizon with open eyes and to make the right decisions for our future. I spoke about the shadows, but the shadows and the shade does not exist without the light, and we are looking towards the light, towards the horizon, towards deeds that must be done.